I recently started reading this book, Reclaiming the Discarded by Kathleen Miller. Kathleen is a professor at Duke University in the United States of America. The book is about waste pickers who are called catadores in Brazil, in one of the largest dumps in Brazil near Rio. And she follows the life of catadores for about 7 years, I believe, from 2005 all the way to 2012. I got two ideas from reading this book, and it actually reframed how I see things and how I even start to think about them, and actually made me question also about how others have the tendency to do or to look at things from that perspective. One idea is the concept of scarcity lens, which the author challenges, which is the tendency to understand people primarily living through difficult situations through what they lack: income, jobs, wages, livelihood, social insurance. And she asks, instead of asking what do they lack, why don't you reframe the question to ask what they create? What sort of value, what sort of relationships, what sort of knowledge, what sort of work do they bring actually to the sector, even in the places that other people mostly tend to understand through a lens of poverty and scarcity. And it made me really think about the work and my research that I do on social innovation and collaborative governance in Nigeria, that we mostly start with the language of deficit. Communities lack this, institutions lack that, governments lack capacity. But why don't you start by asking the question, what kind of knowledge or value are these people creating initially, before starting to go into this language of what they lack? And she brings this into focus by looking at how much value the catadores bring. She asks, if this waste picking they do at these garbage dumps is not valuable, why is there a multi-billion economy around the recycling industry? What is called garbage here, it's actually valuable in another economy. So then what exactly is garbage? Because what is valuable here, or what is called garbage here, it's valuable in another place. So that means garbage is mostly a judgment. Another idea she shared that actually stuck with me is the notion of return. You leave poverty behind, you leave informal work behind, you leave difficult circumstances behind. But what she observed from the waste pickers she followed was that they were always returning back to this dump sites, even after they leave, find other jobs, but they lose those jobs and eventually come back to these dumps. And so she challenges this concept of seeing a returning back to your initial phase as primarily failure. Because life is not always straightforward. Life moves forward, backwards, and sideways, whether it's in our individual lives, in the lives of organizations, in the developmental profiles and trajectories of different countries. Why do we always understand progress to be a linear journey, that you may not come back to a certain place that you are familiar with? And she brings this into focus by saying, when we return, it's not only that we are returning this, but what have we understood differently? What experiences, what value have we brought when we come back to these familiar places, and for whatever reason want to pick up from those places again? And it really, again, made me question about the work that we do. Do we fail to understand social change and development by primarily focusing on seeing progress as linear, as never returning to a place that was once familiar to these people or to a country? I wonder what you think about that. Please do share your thoughts in the comment section.